Thank you for joining us on CoreTV News at 4. I am Frank Omalape. The campaign train of President Goodluck Jonathan came under attack again on Thursday, this time in Bauchi State. Previous attack on his convoy had been reported at other states including Kebbi, Kano and Katsina, further raising fears about possible outbreak of violence during the presidential election. A minister in the Jonathan administration was pelted with stones and sachets of pure water, while 6 operatives of the Department of State Services (DSS) were hospitalized following injuries they received at the rally, where the president was met with a hostile crowd waving brooms and stones on the road and at the venue. The president had earlier visited the palace of the Emir of Bauchi, Rewan Sulaiman Adamu, to pay homage. Hostility began as soon as he left the palace as youth with brooms and posters of APC candidates began to antagonize him. As the residents of President's motorcade entered the Ibrahim Babangida Square, venue of the rally, the youth started throwing stones at the convoy. The rally had to be rushed to avoid further incidents, but the convoy was attacked again as it made to leave the venue. Meanwhile, the National Orientation Agency wants Nigeria's leading political parties to control their supporters in the run-up to the February elections. It says it because of the rising wave of attacks and intimidation of political opponents in some parts of the country. The agency said in a statement that the recent spate of forgery contravened the Abuja Accord on Nonviolence signed by the presidential candidate. Director General of the agency, Michael Mary, specifically condemned the attack on the convoy of President Goodluck Jonathan in Katsina State. He also warned candidates and their supporters to engage in issues-based campaign rather than hate speeches. The People's Democratic Party has dismissed the statement of results of Muhammad Buhari, which was released by Government College, Katsina, as a forged document. It also demanded the arrest and prosecution of those behind the forgery. Spokesman for PDP's presidential campaign, Femi Fani-Kayode, said at a news conference in Abuja that the desperation to get power at all costs made the APC and its presidential candidate to forge his school certificate results.
Our conclusion from all this is that the documents purportedly released by Government College Pilot Katsina, upon which the APC presidential candidate hopes to bury the doubt about his eligibility for next month's election, are forged, manipulated, and fraudulently procured. They are therefore untenable in fact and in law. We do not know who the authors and masterminds of this forgery are, but whoever they are, we urge them to come forward and be identified. If they fail to come forward voluntarily, we hereby call on the police and other security agencies to seek them out, find them, arrest them, interrogate them, and prosecute them in accordance with the laws of the land. We reiterate our call on General Buhari to submit himself to the police to answer charges of perjury, having lied on oath about his academic qualifications. This is what a man who claims to represent integrity and due process ought to do in this situation.
Meanwhile, the All Progressive Congress says it will rather engage the PDP campaign spokesman, Femi Fani-Kayode, on issues of good governance rather than response to provocative statement. The party's campaign office said through its spokesman, Garba Shehu, that it was laughable that the ruling party would not let go of a matter that has been laid to rest. He insisted that the APC and its candidate are in the presidential campaign to discuss issues that will improve the standard of living of Nigerians and ensure that they are properly secured. Shehu added that the PDP is promoting distractions to provide a cover for the shortcomings of the Jonathan administration in the areas of security, employment, war against corruption, and infrastructure. Again, the All Progressive Congress has petitioned the Inspector General of Police, Sulaiman Abba, over what he described as a morbid advert sponsored by Governor Ayo Fayoshi of Ekiti State and published on the cover pages of two national dailies on January 19. In the petition signed by the Rivers State Governor and Director General of the party's presidential campaign, Rotimi Amechi, APC said the manner its candidate was portrayed as a dead man walking was in bad state. According to the petition, the portrayal of Buhari is likely to die in office just like past northern leaders such as Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, Sani Abacha, and Murtala Mohammed was reckless and irresponsible. It added that the political advert is also capable of undermining law and order in the country. The APC petition also drew the IG's attention to the fact that the financial advert violated the spirit and letter of the peace accord signed by all political parties and their presidential candidate. It therefore urged the police and other security forces to investigate the origin of Fayoshi's advert and call him to order. Meanwhile, the Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayoshi has again taken a swipe at the candidature of Muhammadu Buhari. Fayoshi is speaking at his party's campaign rally in Ekiti North Senatorial District while drumming support for various candidates of the party from Ekiti North. Says his advertorial placed in major dailies is to show that Muhammadu Buhari as president is an avenue for some other politicians to rule by proxy.
Because this is politics. It's politics. Like every politics of the world in America, everybody says exactly the high points of your candidates and the weak points of your opponents. That's politics. And like I said, I have no apologies. I'm saying the obvious. I meant every word in that advert. I am not apologetic about it. I say it emphatically, Nigeria needs a young, dynamic, active individual to lead this country. We don't want a president that will rule by proxy. I stand by that advert.
17 non-governmental organizations operating in northern Nigeria wants the International Criminal Court to prosecute APC presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari over the 2011 post-election violence. The Northern Coalition for Democracy and Justice has secured the service of a Dutch law firm headed by Gorham Sluiter to fight charges against the former head of state at The Hague. Members of the coalition and the lawyers say they have enough evidence to show that Muhammadu Buhari instigated the violence that led to the death of over 800 people. The reports.
These are members of a coalition of NGOs from northern Nigeria who insist they are out to protect the interests of the North. Led by a prominent activist, Umar Farouk, they claim they have proof of Buhari's role in the post-election violence of 2011. The coalition had previously made an attempt to compel ICC to dock the former head of state. Now they have secured the services of a lawyer practicing at The Hague.
The evidence collected to date strongly suggests that the highly inflammatory political comments made by General Buhari prior to, during, and immediately following the elections led directly to the deaths of over 800 people and the displacement of more than 65,000 individuals in April 2011. It was confirmed just 2 days ago that the International Criminal Court continues to conduct a preliminary examination into the violence in Nigeria. It is hoped that the prosecutor's office will also decide to take up the questions of the grave election-related crimes committed in 2011. and it is clearly in the interests of justice to do so.
Their mission startled a few people who walked out of the event, but the coalition maintained that they have a role to ensure that there is no repeat of the 2011 Act. The leaders also insist that they are not on the payroll of any politician.
We are strongly convinced that it is in the interest of our dear country, Nigeria, that those responsible for the premeditated arson, killings, and destruction of properties must be brought to justice. There are ample video, audio, and documented evidence to support a prosecution against Muhammad Buhari, who incidentally is going into the presidential race again, once again, with an attendant mounting apprehension, particularly recent statement credited to him and some of his allies.
But now that the group is seeking the prosecution of the APC presidential candidate, will they also attempt to stop him from contesting on February 14?
This call is not in any way to stop General Buhari from contesting election. Even if he were prosecuted today, that wouldn't stop the election. What we are trying to avoid is scenario of the 2011. Probably because nothing happened since that time was why we are getting all these provocative remarks that are coming up here and there. So we are saying that now if he knew that actions are likely to be taken against him, tendencies are that he will mellow down and will not be making remarks that are capable of steering crisis after the election.
Members of the Northern Coalition for Democracy and Justice are convinced that they are on the right path and easily dismiss suggestions that their mission could trigger violence in the run-up to the polls. They insist there is no stopping them from ensuring justice for victims of the 2011 post-election violence at The Hague.
You're watching the CoreTV News at 4. We'll take a short break now. Be back with more stories after this time out. Do join this game.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
You're watching the CoreTV News at 4. For more information on our news and other programs, like our Facebook page is facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG. And our YouTube page is youtube.com/CoreTV Space the News. And now the website of Defense Headquarters, that is defenseinfo.mli.ng, has been hacked in the face. The hacker described himself on the site as Maniac B, K for sure. Defense spokesman Major General Lukolade has confirmed the attack. He described it via his Twitter handle as an ISIS-type effort to hack into government platforms, but says the managers of the website are working on to rectify the situation. Meanwhile, an individual using the Twitter handle at Imam Sadiq 123 has claimed responsibility for the act. He said through a series of tweets that his group is now in total control of the website of the defense information. He didn't confirm links to ISIS, but dropped enough hints by saying the act is to prove that they are everywhere. Away from that now, Nigeria is to record troops currently involved in peacekeeping missions abroad to boost its counterinsurgency operations in the North East. Coordinator of the National Information Center, Michael Mary, says the decision was taken at a regional security meeting in Niamey, in Niger Republic. Omeri also said at a security briefing in Abuja that security forces are still studying the latest video released by the Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau.
In the face of the various challenges militating against the full operationalization of the multinational joint task force and its apparent collapse, a number of African countries converged in Niamey, Niger Republic, on January 20th, 2015, with the sole aim of seeking authorization from the UN Security Council through the African Union to set up, fund, and deploy a more effective multinational force to fight Boko Haram. While it is expected that this meeting would yield positive results, the Nigerian position at the meeting remains that the challenge of Boko Haram insurgency, though a Nigerian challenge, is a threat to regional and international peace and security, which requires the concerted action of Nigeria and friendly countries to combat. There is a need for a troop surge in operational areas, which may require recalling Nigerian troops from peacekeeping missions abroad to enhance the operational capabilities of the Nigerian military. Nigeria and her neighbors should improve on the effective management of their borders, while the Abuja Regional Intelligence Fusion Unit should collaborate with the Intelligence Coordination Center based in Chad in intelligence sharing.
France has assured the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission of onward support in its continuous effort to curb economic and financial crimes in the country. The assurance was made during a visit by a French delegation led by the police attaché to the embassy in Nigeria, Eric Benition, to the EFCC headquarters in Abuja. Both parties used the occasion to rub minds on the level of cooperation between the two countries and how it could be further strengthened in the area of investigation and prosecution. The French delegation also presented 8 laptops to the anti-graft agency.
Clearly demonstrates that no one can commit any economic or financial crime from this country and right into France and think France will give such a person sanctuary from the law. We have partners there who will always liaise with and will make sure that such an individual is brought to book. In the same token, if somebody commits a crime in France and runs to Nigeria, we're always here to liaise with them and ensure that such a person is properly brought to book.
They commit crime in France and come in Nigeria, or in Nigeria and go to France, will be prosecuted.
We'll take another break now. We'll be back with more stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
Outside Nigeria now, leaders of South Sudan's warring factions agreed to a political deal designed to boost efforts to end their year-old civil war. President Salva Kiir and rebel leader Riek Machar signed a pact in the northern Tanzanian city of Arusha to bring together the rival camps of the ruling Sudan People's Liberation Movement. Fighting broke out in newly independent South Sudan in December 2013 when Kiir accused his sacked deputy Machar of attempting a coup. No record of the death toll for the war has been kept either by the government, rebels, or the United Nations, although the International Crisis Group says it estimates that at least 50,000 people have been killed.
To the reunification of the SPLM, driven by our patriotic will and determination to restore peace and stability in order to rebuild our war-torn country, the South Sudan.
By agreeing to reunite their party, they are making the peace process in Addis Ababa easier. This is because the crisis started in the party and it went in the country. So this is a very big step in the process of peacemaking.
Today we hope and believe will be the beginning of giving a new hope to the people of South Sudan. It is time the guns went silent It is time you, as leaders, fulfilled the mandate that the people of South Sudan expected. They expected a better life, they expected stability, they expected prosperity and development, not guns, not fear, not death.
And our roasted Thai Premier Yingluck Shinawatra Thursday attacked impeachment proceedings against her ahead of a crutch vote that could see her banned from politics for 5 years and deepen the country's bitter divide. Yingluck, the kingdom's first female premier and the sister of former leader Thaksin Shinawatra, was toppled from office by a controversial court ruling shortly before the army staged a coup in May. She faces impeachment Friday by the junta-picked National Legislative Assembly over her administration's populist rice subsidy program, which funneled cash to her rural base but cost billions of dollars and inspired protests that failed her government. A successful impeachment needs a 3/5 of the 220-strong assembly to vote in favor when they meet on Friday.
To my fellow people and to the members of the parliament, I will do my best to clarify all the details, so I hope that listeners will consider and decide with justice.
From CoreTV News at 4, many thanks for watching. I am Frank of Malape. I'll see you again.